Welcome to Unplugged. Thank you so much for coming. Hope everybody's having a great time. I'm Martin, partner at Visionaries Club, working with seed and pre-seed founders. And in our next session, we are really excited to welcome some of the most exciting companies that we are working with and the founders there. They're all building products that enable people to supercharge their workflow efficiency, so they have more time to really focus on what really matters. And by kind of providing a modular tool stack around data and productivity, they're already changing the way how the best teams are performing in the digital economy and in the traditional industry. So yeah, I'm excited to welcome our first founder on stage, Yoko, co-founder of Ledgy. With Ledgy, Yoko and her team are kind of creating a new standard around how companies are managing arguably the most important incentive, equity ownership. So handing over to you, Yoko.
Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. Great to be here. Shall I just click on this or? Oh, perfect. A few years back, I met a founder based in Zurich. It's where I'm from. I'm from Switzerland. The founder was one of the founders of a company called View Eyewear. If some of you know the brand, it's an eyewear brand. And back then, I was sitting with Peter, who is still a customer of us today and a good friend. And I was sitting with Peter, and he was showing me how he was managing his company's ownership. So, cap table, employee participation plans, and so on. And basically, we sit together. He opens up his laptop, and it was a huge Excel sheet. And in his case, he had every single line of his Excel representing a single share of his company. So you can just imagine, like endless scrolling, huge chaos. It was really crazy. And for us back then, it was one extreme case, but looking around us, everywhere around Europe and beyond, founders just didn't have a way to manage one of their most precious assets in their company, which is their equity. So we decided to build a software for that to help Peter and everyone in the same case in Europe and beyond. And the reason for that is, number one, it was a super concrete problem we could solve with the software. And number two, the motivation was really to be able to have an impact on the European ecosystem, because equity is key to build strong and enduring companies. So we started back then, it was 2017. We started in Switzerland, and starting in such a country was a curse because it was such a small market. But in fact, it was a blessing in disguise looking back, because we were forced from the very beginning to think internationally. So remember, Peter, the story I was telling at the beginning, he back then had a small team of 200 people, and it was already back then across Switzerland, Germany, and the UK. So we had to serve international customers from the beginning. Number two, in Europe, now it's changing, but back then really no one understood what equity was about. Therefore, we had to put the employee's experience at the center of the product. So that is really what Ledgy is all about. Number one, we help international teams because that's what we need in Europe. And number two, it's a people-first product, so we make sure that the team, the employees, really understand what equity is all about. We are, fortunate enough and really proud to have some of the very best teams in Europe on Ledgy. Some of them are, of course, fellow Visionaries portfolio companies such as Xentral, Localize, TaxDo, but also really some of the biggest scale-ups in Europe as well and beyond, such as Get Here, Bitpanda from Austria, Alan from France, and Trade Republic, for example, from Germany. I want to end by telling you what drives us at Ledgy. And at Ledgy, we democratize ownership. We make equity more accessible because we believe that equity is key to build the best teams. And we just raised our Series B. We announced it yesterday. We're so excited to help to empower teams with ownership across Europe. To celebrate this milestone, we have a special offer as well. So for anyone who wants to try out Ledgy, reach out to me. It's yoko@ledgy.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Yoko. Lovely. Then I'm really excited to welcome next Jenny from Leapsome. Jenny and her team are on a mission to make work more fulfilling. So we really believe that people enablement is the secret to a thriving organization, and culture is just something that needs to be handled properly. So Jenny, the stage is yours.
So founders here, who of you cares about their impact and the enterprise value of your venture? And investors, who of you cares about the enterprise value and impact of your portcos? Thank you. We need to talk about why people enablement is actually mission critical if you actually care about the enterprise value of your companies. We're all building companies in a complex environment. First of all, the pandemic has actually forced us to build hybrid and remote companies, and companies struggle to align, engage, and retain their now distant workforce. Second, we're faced with a harsh macroeconomic environment, and at this time, we actually need to drive for efficiency, and we ultimately need to build more with less. In order to get this right, you need to make sure that a smaller team is fully aligned and performing at its best. And thirdly, to make this even harder, we're all faced with a millennial and post-millennial workforce that actually has much higher expectations towards their employer. So at this time, people enablement is more mission critical than it has ever been before. And let's talk about the ROI of people enablement. An interesting global study by Gallup could prove that investing into people enablement and having enabled and engaged employees actually leads to significantly higher productivity, lower talent turnover, and also lower absenteeism. Absenteeism, talent turnover, lost productivity are all expensive problems. And to make it more tangible for you, there's another study by Harvard Business School where two fellows compared two cohorts of publicly traded companies. One cohort that did invest into people-enabling culture, and another cohort that didn't ultimately care and didn't invest. The cohort that cared about people enablement actually had a 12x higher enterprise value over the 11 years studied than the cohort that didn't invest into people enablement. Who of you would like to actually have their companies 12x higher enterprise values than their peers? Raise your hands. We seem to have a lot of altruistic investors in the room. So people enablement is too important to not get it right. People enablement is mission critical. It's ultimately important for the success of your company. So you need the right toolkit to get this important job done. Every company needs a people enablement platform. And what we see is hence that there's a new category arising in HR tech, the third strategic part of the HR tools track. It sits next to the ATS and the HRIS. The ATS is to recruit great people, it's built for your recruiters. The HRIS is for the payroll and the administrative processes, it's built for the HR admin. And the people enablement software is built to align, engage, and retain people. It's not just built for the HR admin, it's actually built for every employee. It's a fundamentally different user experience. People enablement is way too important a job to not tackle it with the right tooling. So with Leapsome, we've built the leading people enablement platform according to independent sources like G2. It's a modular platform that combines functionality to drive performance, alignment, engagement, learning, and compensation. It's a modular platform which has capabilities for things such as performance management, 360 feedback, OKR management and meeting management, engagement surveys and post-survey action planning, learning and onboarding management, and compensation processes, all in one holistic interconnected platform. We're being praised by our customers for our ease of use, our flexibility, and our high adoption. High adoption is also driven by ultimately connecting into the customer's existing tool stack. The best places to work globally use LeapSam, and we have customers such as Unity or Spotify, where we have global wall-to-wall rollouts across all their employees. And also more traditional brands like a Mercedes-Benz. We support our customers to drive their mission-critical people enablement to align, retain, and engage their people with our best-in-class tooling and thereby ultimately boost their enterprise value and their impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. Our next founder is Eleonore from Pigment. She and her team at Pigment are building essentially a
Thank you, Visionaries, for the invite.
Just, yeah, actually jumping too quick to the live version, sorry. So they're essentially building a next generation business planning software. And I know we all have Google Sheets and everything, but we really think that there is a big change happening there. So Pigment is essentially just a much more collaborative, powerful, and delightful tool. So yeah, really excited to welcome Eleonore. She unfortunately couldn't make it, as you heard, to Berlin today, but we are dialing into Paris and can listen to her. So over to Eleonore.
Thank you, Visionaries, for the invite. It's so great to be at Unplugged today, even if I would have loved to be live with you and not in Paris. Thanks again for the great invitation. I'm Eleonore Crespo, co-founder, co-CEO of Pigment, the business planning platform that serves customers in the likes of Carta, Figma, Brex, DBT Labs, Gong, Deliveroo, and many more. And we help their finance, business, and HR teams take better decisions, faster decision, and smarter decision in real time. I'm going to give you a concrete example of why we exist. I'm sure some companies in the audience have been struggling with uncertainty in the past few months. We've been asking our CFOs, our business leaders, about scenario planning around the inflation, a potential recession, obviously less fundraising in the market. And we need to understand, obviously, how to be more efficient in these days. What happens very often is that our CFOs or business leaders end up spending their nights, their weekends, analyzing data because they don't have the right tool to be efficient in providing answers. Indeed, most of them still work on error-prone 40-year-old spreadsheets in the like of Excel, Google Sheet, or very expensive, very complex enterprise-grade tools that require a consultant to understand how to plan properly in them. This is why Pigment exists. I was the right hand of the EMEA CFO at Google, and then I was an investor at Index Ventures, and I saw many companies struggling pre-IPO, post-IPO to plan properly. My co-founder was co-founder and CTO at Criteo, and he saw the company growing from zero to post-IPO. And I think one of his biggest nightmares was actually to deal with planning, whether it was financial, business, or HR planning. We decided to create a platform fully integrated that would focus on ease of use, an extensive breadth of integration, super powerful modeling features, incredible what-if scenarios, and many more features that actually can help empower any analyst in the world to plan better. We serve you the data in visually compelling dashboards and an incredible user experience to help any analyst, any finance team, any RevOps team plan better and take decisions faster. We have existed since 2019, and our vision goes way broader than what we are doing today. We would like to become this all-in-one business database that any operator in the world should use to actually analyze and crush business data. One of our customers, Figma, has told us, and they started to work with us approximately 6 months ago before the wonderful acquisition last week, and they told us that we are by far one of the most beautifully designed tools out there. We are very proud of that, and we really hope that over time we can count you all as customers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleanor. And as we saw, that something can be very beautiful on the front end. Now we are going to something exciting in the back end, so to say. So welcoming Dennis from Automated. Simply put, they are building robots that take over really boring and repetitive tasks. And I think we all heard, and it's very much in the common perception that AI is taking over and replacing, kind of taking over the jobs from humans. But we see it a very different way. Actually, as mentioned, it is more empowering and kind of enabling people to really be able to focus on what really matters. So using cognitive RPA, Dennis and his team are building a really powerful automation software in the robotic process automation space. So handing over to Dennis now.
Thank you very much for the nice introduction. So we at Automated, we democratize automation. And we committed to this goal because still in the year 2022, there are so many repetitive tasks which still cannot be automated by conventional solutions. And I believe everybody here was at some point sitting in front of a computer, doing something super repetitive, being super annoyed, asking yourself, why am I doing this? Why is not my computer doing it for me? And actually, this problem occurs in professional contexts too. Millions of companies are facing the same problem every day. And this is quite surprising if you think about it, because companies, they are hugely incentivized to remove as many repetitive tasks as possible, and yet they are unable to achieve this. So the question is, why is automation so hard? And this is a big question, and of course, big questions require sophisticated charts. So this is you. This is your computer, and in your mind, there is a workflow description. And remember, you are executing this workflow over and over again in a very painful manner, so you know very well how to describe this workflow. But the problem is, this workflow description is in your mind and not in your computer. So the question becomes, how do you get it from your head to a computer? Or in other words, how to make computers do what you want. And the market has two solutions for you. You can either program your computer or you can use visual editors. Programming is probably not an option for most people because, well, you need to spend a few years before you can start programming your first program. Or you can outsource it, but this is very costly and for most of your tasks probably not feasible. Then you will end up with visual editors. Well, visual editors, they are nice in the beginning, but very soon you will configure nitty-gritty stuff and it will be feeling like as if you are programming just in a visual editor. And Microsoft, they released quite an interesting statistic here. 99% of over 1 billion spreadsheet users never successfully wrote a single macro in their lives. So there is 1 billion people concerned with super repetitive stuff within spreadsheets, and yet they are unable to get the workflow descriptions from their minds to their computers. And this problem is exactly what we are solving. So we at Automated, we are building an AI, which is an intermediate layer between you and your computer. So now you don't have to directly communicate to a computer what you want, but rather in a fuzzy way, you can tell it to automate it. Automated takes your fuzzy workflow description, it builds a bot for you, and then runs it on the computer for you. Well, this sounds great, but some people are probably thinking, well, Dennis, you're cheating a little bit. You told me that it's super hard to communicate to a computer what to do. Why is it easier to do it with Automated? Well, at Automated, we don't have a code editor. We also don't have a visual editor. But what we have is a super deep integration in your applications. So, for example, you're using SAP, Salesforce, or Excel sheets, whatever. We integrate it into them, and this opens up a completely new way of communicating what you want. So you just spin up your app, and you execute your workflow. And this execution of your workflow for the last time, this is the description Automated needs. So it takes this description, which everybody can produce because you're doing it anyways, then it builds a bot, it packages this bot into a button. This button is then displayed on top of your existing application. You can click it, and you never ever have to do your workflow manually again. So if this sparked your interest, just visit automated.com and book a demo. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dennis. I think we are really excited about the time that we can actively and lively use this. So next up is going to be Benet. Very, very excited to introduce him. At Visionaries Club, we really believe in a trend happening around micro SMEs, and especially lean software just powering this very specific type of vertical. So Benet and his team at Central are essentially building and redefining, setting the new gold standard how these micro SMEs are operating and how some of the leading e-commerce founders in this space are actually operating their business. So yeah, Bennett, the stage is yours.
Cool, thanks you. Nice to be here and also a great honor to talk here. Yes, I'm Benedict. We are Accentual. I start directly with the first slide. I think the easy way to describe it is Accentual helps small and medium-sized companies automate and simplify their day-to-day operations. What does this mean? So where this came from? We had original own business, hardware business. We produced hardware and we sold it over the internet, over different channels. We had B2B and the business was successful and growing. And we was wondering every day what shitty things we do every day. You hunt sales orders, you hunt missing payments, you forget to reorder things. There was an error in the warehouse, was really, really painful for life what we have done. And then we started to look around, okay, we need the software. I'm an engineer's background, I always try to fix everything with software. And then I was shocked when I've seen what is in the world, how expensive, how ugly, and then it's only a small area of your business, and you cannot connect this with API to other topics. And then we said, this makes no sense for us. We need something in background, what makes all the tools, all the tasks for us in background and really helps us and gives us value. And our idea was that we spend our time as founders, as company, to really the things what we like, building products, doing marketing, doing sales, and not managing with the stupid task our business. And then I started to write the software, how Luciana also describes it on a nice way. I have the luxury that I wake up very early every day, and then I enjoyed it and start to write the software step by step for us. And then, I don't know, it was the reason, then suddenly the suppliers and customers from us came to us and say, hello, Bennett, what is this for software? I see you use something different, and we will also have this. Is it possible? We are a hardware company, but when you feel it's value for us, feel free to use it, but don't expect that we're waiting here 24 hours, 7 days per week and help you when there's a problem. We have an own business. And then it becomes more and more demand on that we then decided sometimes, okay, there's so big demand in the market for this type of software, then we stop with the hardware business, change to the software, and have now the great chance to really help a lot of business all over the world to make their business smart and really fun, that they can really use their time and do the things what they like, building cool products, talking to customers, doing marketing things here. This is a sneak peek of our new layout. We worked very hard last year and to roll out a new version. To make this out is super important for us that this type of software should be fun. Normally, you hate to go into this software, and we don't like this. You should be really say, okay, I will start my business in the morning. I like it. I will manage my business, do the sales orders, do all the things. And I think this was our main driver also in the past and still today. What we also realized in the micro SME or in the world when you're small, normally a lot of people don't know that these types of software are in the world. When you're in a bigger company, it's normal. You have then big ERP and SAP or something like this here. This is very famous and very well known. But in a small world, the people, they don't know it. You can't expect, you think Excel is the only thing what you normally can do, and you don't aware of this, that these types of software there. That means what we have also built parallel to our software, we call it a growth framework, where we now start really to educate the founders, the small companies, and show them how you can use this software in different categories, and you can start step by step and use it modularly from the topics where we have at the moment big problems, burning problems, whatever. Start with this one step, the warehouse, purchasement, whatever, and then go step by step through the journey because this is possible. We are in 2022, and the software makes this really possible. Why do we know that it works? We have also from our early beginning times customers who started very early, and I think one thing what I can give as additional information is the great thing with Accenture is that you can grow your business. Normally, you have always a typical breaking point planned when you're too big, then you have to change the software, and normally when you're successful, I don't know, you have to change the software every 2 years, and this hurts. You lose a lot of data, time, revenue, no one likes this. And we built the software original for us, in the final end, we were around about 15 people. And then during the next time when we work together with customers, we develop with them then the next steps together. And the great thing is with Central, you can really grow something from like whatever 200,000 turnover up to 50 million without any break and really driving the business. And that it works, for example, is customer Y-Food, they're very famous in Germany. In the meantime, they came to us when there were 5 people in the software, and then really start the business, and we really enjoyed working with them together and have the accelerator or the path with them together. And all the other companies here, like on the slide, really enjoy our software and likes it to use it in their daily work. And that's it from my side.
Lisa from Localize. So talking about the overlapping areas of people and efficient workflows, Localize is a global mobility platform.
I'm just thinking where could stand.
Okay. The stage is yours. No, so Localize is essentially a global mobility platform that digitizes and makes it more efficient and automates employee relocation for enterprises. So really excited about the topic. And yeah, Lisa, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm Lisa. I'm the CRO and one of the co-founders of Localize, and we break down borders for companies and their employees. To be honest, I have a super strong connection to that topic, not only because I moved several times myself, but also because I got to know the problem from a company perspective. I started my career in HR and global mobility and built up the relocation unit at Good Game Studios. I relocated more than 500 people, their families, and sometimes even their horses. That's not a joke, that actually happened. And this is something where I say that we have to do something about it. I think overall, if we look back 10 years ago, what the gaming industry was already building up international teams. And this is something a lot of companies do right now as well. Building up a team where it doesn't matter where people live or where they're coming from. This trend is even increasing thanks to the new location flexibility, and more companies face that topic. Also because the war of talent, but also because a lot of employees want to move. They want to live abroad, and they want to spend part of their career somewhere else. This is something companies have to facilitate now. And that's not easy, as you can see on the screen. This is leading to HR teams who have a lot of additional work when it comes to paperwork, but also when it comes to immigration. And most of you probably know the process of getting one visa, but imagine you need to get 100. I can tell you, not a lot of fun, and HR teams also don't love it that much. And this is what we're solving. On one hand, we build an ATS for global mobility, a tracking tool for HR teams where they can really hand over their cases within a few minutes. They can keep track of everything that's going on, and they do get visibility, transparency, and peace of mind, because then they can focus on other topics, which they actually also more enjoy, I would say. On the other hand, we build a talent app. For me, this is even more important because they are the people who are moving, not the HR teams. And you have to think about it as a step-by-step guide. So we really make sure that the talent knows what to do. Be it they need to apply for a visa, they need to get their tax ID, they need to apply for health insurance. Everything is in our product. You have to think of it as a digital assistant for the whole relocation process. And as you can see on the screen, we brought a consumer-like experience to a really old-fashioned traditional industry. And there's even more to come. We learned that talents most of the time don't only move once, but they move several times during their career. And that's why we're currently expanding our talent app to make the processes even more seamless. And the good news is, that's not the core of a product. We don't only build a shiny product, but the core of the product is actually in the automation, in the background, with automating the immigration processes and all the paperwork. We have proven that this technology works. So we work with more than 500 companies across different industries, different sizes, different geographies, and all our customers love us. Customers of different types and the HR teams are big fans. But what's even more important for me, the talents we're working with love us even more. And I can tell you, in the relocation industry, that's very rare. In the future, every company will have employees who will be localized at some point. I'm super happy to have a chat later on, or you can visit our website. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Lisa. With this, we would like to actually wrap up our session today. Thank you so much all for sharing your stories. There's probably one strong overarching theme that you might have noticed listening to our speakers, and that is pretty much what we are very excited about at Visionaries Club as well, is that the future of B2B software is flexible, integrated, frictionless, and data-centric. So powerful on the front end and the back end. The most exciting thing is that it's happening right now in Europe, around us. So yeah, thank you so much for coming.